I am so pleased to welcome in such a good friend and such a good group of people. I've been so impressed by this man over the years. We've known each other for decades. He's made such a profound difference in his life, mentoring so many people. He's had such a great impact on so many people that he's turned lives around. People that were in the depths, people that had so many issues with parenting, with drugs, and negativity. He's turned them around, and now they have wonderful lives, and a lot of that is because of this man. So without any further ado, let's welcome in Superfan.
Yeah! All right.
Howie, honorable men walk with honorable men, and I walk with the great halftime Howie and Rocco too. Thank you very much for the props. But it's all about people. It's all about energy to the universe. And if you save one life, as you know as a landsman, you save the world. And I'm blessed. I have with me a man that is my son. He calls me Pops.
Yes, I do.
We've gone through a lot of things together, and he adopted me. And sometimes words mean a lot, sometimes they're taken for granted. But a prime example I have is a great person here, Terrence Moore, AKA Stimson, and another great surrogate son that I happened to meet at August Martin High School as his counselor. Wonderful young man who was known as Flash because he was very fast in helping people and caring about life the way we do. Michael Rodman, let's hear it for my people here.
All right.
Yeah.
I also have a person might be a little older, but also hopefully benefited tremendously. The great genie artist, Bonnie the Genie Syracusa, who I've counseled and mentored, and my own son, my biological son, the great RG3 Skins man, used to be Skins baby and Skins boy, Cody, and my spiritual sister I love dearly, RG3 Redskin Rusty. Okay?
All right.
So now, I think Hillary Clinton said it takes a village. Here's my village.
Absolutely. Why don't we hear from some of the people you've had a profound impact on, and talk from your heart about your relationship with Superfan and how that relationship has transpired and the impact on your life through the years.
Wow. It's been a wonderful, wonderful life with this man right here. That's why it feels good to have a pop like this. Because every time I need that help, I can have a call, he'll answer that phone right then and there, you know? And it feels so good to have somebody like this one, all right? And I have my best friend I've been with for ever since second grade. My best friend.
Wow, yes.
I'm gonna say it every time. To feel good to call him when I need somebody and my family over there, you know, and it feels good. It feels good to have a family like this. Oh, here you go.
My name is Michael Rodman, and AKA is Flash. And if it wasn't for Nate, I don't know what I'm gonna be. And even though I was failing in school and I hate high school, period, he sat down with my parents, included my sister, to work together. They want to make sure that impact of me actually finished school. If not, I would have dropped out. I don't even know how my future is going to be. I don't know if I would have been staying at my parents' house, take care of them. I don't, like, the whole time, like, my future has always been a question mark. And the only thing of a good deed that I can do is be a good son to my parents, a good brother to my older sister, being my best friend right here since childhood.
Yes.
And we always been together. We go through hell. We had a good time, a bad time. He always had my back. When I needed him, he always there. And Mr. Nate here is always there guiding me. Whatever the life is, we always gonna have coming up and down, but we always need something in the middle to balance everything. And Nate is like a yin yang to my soul. So.
Yes. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Thank you very much. But again,
That's my bro.
words are only important if people are receptive to it. And you send out a message, you send out a mindset, and those who really want to improve themselves are guided to help themselves. And that's what it's all about. These two sons of mine, now are sons of my heart, not biological, but spiritually, they make me validated, because if my words are just words, it's superficial. But I've decided a long time ago that I would attend weddings, funerals, unfortunately, baby showers, birthday parties, and even though I'm up with the school system for about 10 years, in private counsel now, I still do that, keep the tradition. One of the people I've counseled, though, as far as whether it's self-esteem or whatever, that's a great, fantastic, very, very top of the line fine artist, is the gene herself. So I'd like to get her to get up perspective on it.
And with the talk, I'd like to show the audience some of your great artwork as well, because you are an extremely gifted artist. So we can't let this show go by. And I think it would be great to have you talk about some of your amazing artwork as well.
Well, I could start off talking about, this is very important because Tony's my best friend, he's my mentor, but he, through his strength, he's made me stronger, and I have become a mentor as a result of that. And I am a mentor with my murals. I educate through my art. Most recently, I have completed some murals at the St. Joaquin and Anne residence in Coney Island, and I've gotten very much into the history of Coney Island. It started out, I worked with a Coney Island historian. I did the Coney Island boardwalk, and I have, through this, I've been able to connect with many elderly adults who have had, this has brought back wonderful memories for them, and many of whom are suffering, some are suffering from certain forms of dementia, but my artwork has enabled them to, to still have that ability to connect to the present day world through these great memories. They also now in the homes, they use this. This is remedy art. This makes people feel very good. It gives them hope. It brings back a lot of great memories, and where people are having some difficulties, it seems to be a really good elixir for that. And I feel like I've transformed the place, and people they look forward to seeing me work there. It brightens up their day. It gives them hope. I mean, I really feel it's improved the quality of their lives. And yes, I have my rock over here, Superfan. I mean, getting not only mentoring somebody to help somebody and improve their life, but making them feel strong to the point where they're able to strengthen and improve other lives. I think that's the greatest thing that comes out of the mentoring. It's contagious.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. How about Cody? A lot of these people have profound impact. You grew up in the house of Superfan, so let's hear from the perspective of being the son of the great mentor. Let's talk about your journey.
Well, seeing my dad being a mentor of many different people, with tech students, me, you, it makes me feel very proud. This guy's a great man, and I'm glad I have him as dead.
Awesome, thank you.
Amen.
I want to get back to Superfan. I want to talk about your days in school and why you were above and beyond the normal counsel, that you took a profound interest. But I watched a documentary the other day, and it really had an impact on me about how important mentoring is. I'd like to bring it up today because I think we all know who the person I'm going to talk about. I watched a documentary about an hour about the life and journey of Dennis Rodman. And for those who might not be familiar, Dennis Rodman was a great basketball player, went to the Hall of Fame, won like 5 rings but he was out there. I mean, he had a lot of personal problems. He dyed his hair, wear earrings, and but the mentoring part of it goes like this. When he was in high school, he was only 5'9", and didn't even play on his high school basketball team. But his personal story was his father walked out on him when he was very young, and his mother was extremely abusive to him. He threw him out on the street and said, "Go fend for yourself," several times. So after high school, he grew from, it was like a miracle, from like 5'8", he grew all the way up to 6'9". And he started playing at the CYO, and he became this really, really good basketball player. And this college scout found him, and he went through college, but he made it. He developed. When he got to the Detroit Pistons, he still was a troubled young man. He grew up without a father. His mother threw him out on the street many times. And the coach at the time was Chuck Daly. And Chuck Daly realized that Dennis Rodman was a very troubled young man. And he took him in like a father. Every Thanksgiving, Dennis Rodman would eat at his house. Every holiday, every Christmas, Dennis Rodman would celebrate with Chuck Daly. And Chuck Daly became more than a coach, became his mentor, his father, and it was the greatest thing that ever happened to Dennis Rodman. And when Chuck Daly left the Pistons, he really became unraveled because he didn't have that love, he didn't have that support system. Even though his teammates were great, the glue that kept everything together for Dennis Rodman was Chuck Daly. And it was really a wonderful thing to see. And I don't think he would have become the great basketball player without that love and support and guidance. And to Chuck Daly's credit, he realized early on that Dennis Rodman needed that special support. And all the other players were appreciative because they realized how important it was for Dennis to have that mentoring figure in his life. And it really was a touching story how, the love that Dennis Rodman had with Chuck Daly.
At halftime, Howie, I can relate to that totally because everybody in life, as Redskin said, to become a mentor, you need a mentor. Somebody to guide yourself and believe in you, especially when there's adversity. I know when I started my journey in counseling, I was sent to Bedford-Stuyvesant as a 21-year-old, and I basically grew up in a white society, and I was in a track team with some black brothers and all that, and all of a sudden I'm put into Bed-Stuy. Everybody was black, African-American, and I said, these are going to be my people now. My time to be challenged, my time to help people, even though we might have different roots and experiences, we're all equal. When I walked in there, I decided that I'm going to make a difference. I was young and green then, just out of college, and then I got put into the street academy, the annex, all the tough kids that couldn't be in the main situation when I went to Boys and Girls High School. And I remember the principal came over to me and he said, well, how do you feel about being the only, whatever, Caucasian white guy with our people? I said, they're our people now. Anyway, to go on graduation that year, he said, I want to introduce Superfan, with my government name at the time, and he said his color was work, meaning that it transcended beyond color, beyond race, religion, and got through effectively to kids in the so-called hood. And years later, I regard myself as ageless because I still have the aggressiveness, the assertiveness, the heart, the soul, and the mindset that I can make an effect. And what you do is you develop a plan. And the most important thing with my proteges, my son, people I've touched, is the execution plan. And everybody wants to be a basketball player, a president, a scientist, or whatever. or a street pharmacist, which I had a lot of people, as you know, had to change from street pharmacist to being legitimate, maybe living a little longer. And the key is the execution plan. Like the great Mariano Rivera that wasn't on your team, the bottom line is game time, boom. And you have to close the deal. And fortunately, with the Almighty and the spiritual energy above, I've had the gift that my words were taken seriously enough to effectuate change. And I'm doing it now with adults, children, senior citizens, and will continue on and on like Harvey before, and all of you that are doing a great thing. What you do in Long Beach is non-pareil, Rocco, for the LGBTQ community, and giving is joy. And when you make it effectuate a change, when I see a brother like that still believing, my man Flash and countless others, you got to keep doing it. Right now, his spiritual brother, Frank Cofield, Elmo, lost his job at a casino in North Carolina. He's moving up to Monticello. I'm going to put him up. I put him up because he had no money and he had to be able to pass, number one, the license test and all the other things. He's coming in Wednesday, has no place to stay. He'll be with me. He's my son. He calls me dad. He calls me pops. He calls me dad. He calls me dad. It is my son. But it's all a mindset and what you want to do in life. If you want to do it, you either can talk it, but talk walking like you do, and what I try to do is what counts.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very inspiring, and mentoring is so important in today's society. And I want to share a Long Beach mentoring story. Going back about 7 or 8 years ago, one of my good friends, and one of the reasons I started doing this show here in Long Beach, is I had met the 2 wrestling coaches from Long Beach High School, Ray Adams and Miguel Rodriguez. And what was impressive about them is how much they cared about the kids in the community. There was one story about a kid named John Massa, who in high school lost his mother, his father, and his grandparents, didn't have any parents. It was a devastating time. The 2 wrestling coaches took John under their wing and said, we are your family now here at Long Beach High School. And John became a state champion wrestler, and now is a parent, 3 lovely girls. But the most amazing mentoring story is, what's the first name? Bird? Kid with legs?
I'm sorry.
Isaiah Bird?
Isaiah Bird, yes.
Yeah. This is one of the great mentoring stories. Miguel Rodriguez runs the youth program. And about 7 or 8 years ago, he came across a young man named Isaiah Bird. And at the time, Isaiah was about 6, 7 years old. And Isaiah had no legs. And Miguel took Isaiah under his wing and said to him, I know you don't have any legs, but I'm going to make you into a champion athlete. And he worked with him, and young Isaiah became a great youth wrestler. And this story became so prominent that ESPN found out about it. And they followed Isaiah and Miguel around for a whole year. And some of the things that Miguel did with Isaiah was so inspiring. Not only did he wrestle with no legs, but he played football as well. Because Miguel inspired Isaiah and made Isaiah believe that anything is possible. And it was so touching to see Isaiah and Miguel work together. And another touching thing about that story was, all right, about 20 years ago, make yourself, come on in. About 20 years ago, there was a wrestler in Suffolk County named Rohan Murphy. Rohan Murphy was a county champion wrestler with no legs. So Miguel said to this Rohan Murphy, he said, I can teach Isaiah to wrestle, but you will have a greater impact because you wrestled with no legs. And Rohan Murphy took Isaiah under his wing because nobody could relate to him like Rohan. And it was just such a wonderful story about making someone believe that you can accomplish anything, even with no legs. And that happened right here in Long Beach.
Physical disability like that is just, it's amazing what the mind can do to believe in self-esteem. I just have tears in my eyes because the gentleman I haven't seen how many years just came in the pouring rain from Connecticut.
From Delaware.
Delaware.
Wow! Let's give it up from...
Parents, logo, Bristol.
What a special surprise. So, Superfan, tell a story. Let's get some
Here's a
background
man
to that story.
I met at Augustmont High School.
Yes.
I'm just a little overwhelmed myself right now, back in the days. And I hope I touched his heart and soul to believe in himself
Yes.
when he had a little self-esteem problem. And looking at him now, when I grow up, I want to be like him. Yeah, look at him, representing the country.
U.S. Air Force, all right, let's give it up.
Man always had a good heart. He always had a good will. And you know, I try to help him with an execution plan to be successful. To feel good about himself,
Yes.
where he can get to that next level. And
Oh, yes.
I'm so happy to see you.
Oh, yes.
I can't even, I'm pretty good with words.
Young man, talk about your journey with Superfan, how you first met him and where you were then and where you are now. Let's hear your story with Superfan and want to hear it.
Not so much of where I am now, but when I was then was wandering through the halls and also personally wandering, going through my own struggles. I wandered into his area and I stood and, you know, you did touch my heart, which is why I'm here. And I always look at your pictures because I always remember those days back in August morning. And it did make a difference. And believe it or not, if it wasn't for August Martin being around good people, I would never made it to where I'm at today.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's great.
Sometimes people can forget I'm not you. Two Terrences. Where's Terrence at? He'll be like, oh, I'm Terrence. Yeah, now you know.
Well, there are surprises in life every day, and we've been talking about getting together and writing to each other. We've been talking about getting together and writing to each other for years. I've been inviting him to the reunion parties, the picnics, all the different great occasions that we keep with ex-students and keep the family going. And you in this weather to make a sacrifice, which it is, and get here. It's amazing. That shows your fortitude, and I know you're doing a great job helping our country, especially in trying times.
Oh, yes.
We respect you tremendously.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Superfan, I want to get into this topic because I think it's very important. I know through the years that you're an extremely, in the group, very, very spiritual.
Right.
So what I've always thought about is that God put you in Stuyvesant. That it wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't. It was a spiritual happening where God put you in Stuyvesant to make a difference. Talk about that, the spiritual and it being more coincidence to make a difference in Stuyvesant.
Very interesting you said that because unbeknownst to a lot of people, close people do know that my group and crew believes in energy to the universe, no matter what religion you believe in, what God you believe in. It's all about positive energy versus negative energy. And when I was sent to Bed-Stuy, I felt a calling. And I got to put position that nobody gets put into. You had to be in 6 years or longer to get what they call a compensatory time position to get a special position other than teaching. So I got put into a 2-week guidance position until you referred to what your license is. Mine was some business distributive education. And I got on the wavelength of this wonderful mentor of mine, Phil Rosenthal, assistant principal. He observed me by looking at me, walked through my room, and he told the principal, forget about the 6 years, we need him. What I did is, there was an antiquated, old curriculum that had nothing to do with kids in the inner city, homeboys, and homegirls. So I rewrote it with self-game questions, like being black is. When I wake up in the morning, I feel. I got them an opportunity to speak and express themselves, and I was kept there. I had no credits in counseling. Then I became a guidance counselor and a mentor. Through what you're saying, from above, taking advantage of an opportunity to shine.
Absolutely, and you know, it's funny. We have a film critic on our staff, Rocco, very dear friend, and I've always felt this is that some of my favorite movies that I've ever seen center around mentoring, and because it's so real and it touches you in a way. Like, for instance, two of my all-time favorite movies is Mr. Holland's Opus.
Yes.
About
Great.
how Richard Dreyfuss,
Great.
you know, they ask him to be a music teacher, doesn't really want to, and then he embraces it, and he has such a profound difference and changed so many lives through decades. And the other one is with Robin Williams, Dead Poets Society, where he went to a upper middle class, you know, society, and totally abandoned the curriculum, ripped up all the pages because he wanted to make a difference with these young people. And he had such a great impact on their lives in such a short time. But it's those type of movies, and the one with Edward Olmos.
Sure.
That one?
Classic.
Yeah, I mean, those movies, when a teacher, a mentor touches so many lives, those are some of my favorite movies, because they make a difference.
Okay, then I'll tell you, and they've been part of it. In my room called the Dog Pound, the DOGPOUND, because, you know, I tailored it to basically a lot of slang. I was very bilingual. I spoke English and slang fluently, but not as a phony, not as a white boy trying to get over, but a person that related and tapped in. And we had 2 lists. The chill list for people that passed everything but 2, and the FUBAR list. You can figure it out. FUBAR.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to be on the FUBAR list, if you remember. That was a big embarrassment. We only used tags and nicknames. I was known as Coolie High, Doc Cool, Nate Dog, White Chocolate, and a lot of others. And everybody here, you know, Logo, Flash, Stimson, we all had nicknames. And we spoke that particular way. But we did it in a way that the Board of Education basically, I don't think they would approve. We decorated the room a certain way. We dealt with things. We started our sessions by Ungawa, Black Power.
Yeah.
We did it in a way that tapped in to the clientele, and they felt real, and they felt part of it, and they felt genuine, and they felt transparent, and unorthodox methods completely to be able to motivate the clientele.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So, anyone else want to add some further things? Because we're going to have you back. I mean, but I think this is really great, demonstrating how your impact with so many people has made a profound difference, and lives, you've touched so many lives in a positive way.
Well, one of the things is you see I'm wearing a Redskin outfit and all that. We're not talking about sports, but loyalty is royalty. As we know, with the hat she's wearing, Redskin Nation. Even though he's not playing now and back up, I've given my heart and soul to show him to be loyal to you, through thick and thin. So even if you're not playing or you're not winning like the Skins are, you still wear your colors proudly. You do not give up on what you believe in by any means necessary. And that's one of the key. Because people, especially what they consider the ghetto, the hood, whatever, they don't want to hear the BS from a counselor because they'll just get over like a violin. But when you care as much or more than them about them passing, about being successful and achieving, they pick it up. And I know I was considered the coolest counselor. That was all garbage. I was also the toughest counselor because I cared about that. Going to his wedding, going to Christian, being there late at night, early, whatever it may be, by walking. And that's what people appreciate. And believe me, there was no color or racial problem at all because the color was about family.
When I met Nate, he was the type of person as like trying to convince me to join the group. I never knew who he was. Miss Sunshine was my speech therapy. She's the one that told me about him and even I'll be running around the hallways too. And that's how me and him be in the same class, Terrence. And he told me like, yo, you gotta meet Dr. Cool. You gotta meet Superfan. I'm like, who's Superfan? He said, yo, this one day just come, you'll see what I'm talking about. He's like the realest guidance counselor I ever know was born. Like, I didn't want to believe that until like after he tried to convince me for a whole year, and you always grab me in the hallway too. It's like, yo, I don't know who you are, but Terrence always vouched for you. And that's the reason why I respect that, and I appreciate that. Terrence.
All right.
And now you have so much love for that. I appreciate that.
And you became a peer leader and helped other people. First you started as a member of what we call the Dog Pound, and then you helped people. You gave love, you gave support. That's what it's all about.
You know what I think is great too, is that so many people, when they retire, they lose contact with the people that they came in contact with, but so many people that you mentored and that you had a profound impact on are still involved in your life today.
When I mentioned, I never regarded the world of retirement, the word restructuring. What I did is gotten away from the structural board of education to be a private counselor, a mentor, and carrying it on to the next level. It's a mindset. Because you only can get old if you feel old. You only can be not effective if you feel ineffective. So words are important and action is more important.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with that, we've come to the end of the segment. Let's give it up to Superfan and all the great people. What a great segment.